episode of Dragon Ball Super, Goku and Gohan continue to gather fighters for the Grand Tournament of Power. The various gods of the Dragon Ball universes come together to see if they can convince Zeno to not erase them all. And finally, emerging from the shadows like a Super Sentai team, the Pride Troopers make their presence known, and they're like a next-generation Ginyu Force. Speaking of which, if I could make a wish from the Dragon Balls, it would be to bring the Ginyu Force back to life and have them fight against the Pride Troopers. Half of the battle would be them just posing with massive explosions behind them. A man can dream. A man can dream. Okay, so there are like an assload of things going on in this week's episode, so let's just start from the beginning and break down this week's episode scene by scene. Majin Buu. Apparently, he's been working out and he has slimmed down. He basically kind of looks like Super Buu with closed eyes wearing his traditional Majin Buu clothes, but apparently he's a lot faster and just as strong as he was before, and both him and Goku have this really cool sparring match where Majin Buu wins. Yeah, Goku's been losing a lot lately, although it is worth mentioning that he was caught off guard. He didn't even activate his Super Saiyan abilities, so maybe he was holding back just a little bit. Despite that, I like that, because Goku's basically going around and just making sure that all of the fighters are going to be ready for this big tournament. He learned that in last week's episode, and he realizes that this is going to be a team effort. It's pretty clear from this episode right here that Majin Buu is going to be a great asset for the team. He's not exactly the sharpest knife in the drawer, and I'm interested to see how he's actually going to work in a team dynamic. After that, we also have Gohan, who's been going around trying to find Piccolo, and by the end of the episode, he does find him. And Piccolo, being the badass that he always is, knows what's going on. He's sitting there meditating. He's getting ready to have a little sparring match with Gohan, which unfortunately we do not get to see, but he still continues to bleed atmosphere and reminds me why he's one of my favorite characters from the Dragon Ball series. To the animation teams that are working on this series, let me just ask this right now. Please do not fuck up the scenes with Piccolo. He is freaking awesome, and he deserves an amazing fight, an amazing battle, and a couple of amazing moments. He's one of my favorite characters, if not in my top 3 favorite Dragon Ball characters, and seeing him relegated to side character status has been heartbreaking, so I really want to see him do something amazing. We also have a couple of different scenes where the Supreme Kais are meeting up to have a meeting, as well as the Gods of Destruction. In particular, the Kai from Universe 11, who goes by the name of Kai. Kind of redundant there. But still, he comes together because he wants to see if they can all agree on asking Zeno to get rid of this whole destroying all the universes thing. And of course, they're all very reluctant. Some of them don't even have to get involved in all, and the other ones are afraid that if they ask this, they're straight up just going to be killed right there. And they all just say, fuck this, I'm out of here. But Kai is basically trying to do them all a favor. He's so confident in his own universe because apparently, according to him, they have the strongest warriors. And they make a pretty strong case for that in this episode, as we also get to see another meeting between the Gods of Destruction. And it is worth noting that they keep Universe 7 out of the loop because, well, they started this whole thing. And, of course, Champa is going to be going after Kabe, and he's going to be getting more Saiyans, which leads me to believe we might see a lot more Saiyans from that universe, maybe even some from the other ones. It's already implied from the opening that we are going to see some sort of female Super Saiyan, so I can't wait to see where she's actually going to come from. There could be another Saiyan more powerful than Kabe, although at the time I imagine he was the only Super Saiyan from his universe because he was shocked to see what Vegeta was capable of in the last tournament. But right after that, we go back to Universe 11, and we actually get to see some of the worlds that they live in, with Toppo returning to his very swanky, futuristic hotel, where he has a drink with his character by the name of General Casserole, who is another member of the Pride Troopers and looks a lot like Kano from Mortal Kombat. I already love this character already just because of how simple but cool his character design is. He's basically just a human cyborg dressed like a general with a beret, and it looks like his fighting style might even reflect that militaristic stylings. But just like Toppo, he's very much got a sense of justice, and he loves to go into action poses as well. And both General Casserole and Toppo get this distress call from this planet, which is being attacked by this villain, which looks suspiciously like a Cyberman by the name of Drakion. Drakion has control over this giant monster, which is called an Arachne, which essentially just is a giant man-eating Venus flytrap. And it's actually being attacked by another member of the Pride Troopers, who goes by the name of Bispo. Bispo is a character that I've been speculating about for a couple of months now, mostly because he superficially resembles both Beerus and Champa almost to a T. The facial structure, the large ears, the purple color, but after seeing him in this episode, he might be an entirely different species. One, he is lacking a tail, and two, he seems to have buck teeth, which, when combined with his overall appearance, makes him look a lot like a rabbit. So we might have a completely different species here, and if that's the case, why didn't Toriyama just make him look a little more different? I mean, did he have to make him the same color? I mean, if it wasn't for the teeth and tail missing, he basically looks like another member of Beerus and Champa's species, which is very strange, but Bispo seems like he's one of the lower level members of the group. He still definitely has some power, but he's actually almost eaten alive by this monster. That is until Toppo and the General decide to show up, and this is followed by a lot of posing and big fiery explosions going on behind them, which is a total Power Rangers moment and so damn classic. It makes no sense why it's there, but that's why it's awesome. And this is where the Pride Troopers come together and just completely destroy this alien monster. And this scene is very important because it does paint them as a major threat in this tournament, because they are a team. They already are used to having a team dynamic and working together, so that's going to give them a very big edge in the Tournament of Power. They're able to even combine their Ki Blast together with Bispo and the General coming together, actually combining their attacks together, and Toppo still continuing to be just a major powerhouse. Toppo and the group also have big plans to gather the other members of the Pride Troopers, including Jiren the Grey, who supposedly is the most powerful being from Universe 11 outside of the Gods of Destruction, or at least that we know of. This episode was another great one, expanding on the universe, spending some time with some new characters, and getting to see more of the Universe 17 come together. So what's the rundown? On this week's episode of Dragon Ball Super, the Pride Troopers spaceship is so cool. It's basically a big flying whale in space. I love the design of it. And the Pride Troopers themselves seem like they're just going to be an absolute blast. I would love a spin-off series just about these guys. They honestly seem interesting enough. I just think it would be really cool to spend some time with a bunch of intergalactic aliens who go around fighting monsters and doing poses. It's really great. Like I said, they're very much like the Ginyu Force, only a more heroic version of them. And they definitely carry a lot of that spirit with them, especially when they do all of their poses, which look really damn awesome. I love that. What I also love, too, is how they really are making sure that Universe 11 is the universe you need to be looking out for. They're featured most in the intro. Goku's fighting against Jiren, who, according to them, is the strongest member of their group. Even the higher-ups from Universe 11 seem to have a little more mystery behind them, with the character of Kai and, of course, the God of Destruction, Belmod the Clown. And I wish there was more time spent with the Gods of Destruction in this episode, because we still don't really know much more about them, but it was really great to finally see them all sort of interact in this episode, because they all have some really funny quirks and some amazing voice acting behind them. I still can't decide which one of the ones that was shown in this episode that I like the most. I like the fact that the robot one actually does communicate like in a robot voice, and his angel actually has to sort of be like the translator for him. I thought that was really funny. They have no idea what he's saying otherwise. Maybe he's a being kind of similar to Vegeta, like a half-man, half-robot type of creature. Maybe the God of Destruction is actually inside and it's riding it like a giant mech and it's actually a really tiny being. It's fair to say that is a possibility, considering that one of the Gods of Destruction is a friggin' mouse, a very loudmouth mouse. And then we have the training sequences with Goku and Buu, which that was so interesting. You know, even though Buu has slimmed up, I have a feeling he's going to go back to his normal fat and chubby self, only because he's used a lot in the promotional material to be the typical form that we see him, and I had a feeling that maybe he can just transform his body to do that. He is very malleable, however, but it is interesting that he's actually, like, sort of trained himself to reach this point. I have to say, it looks really weird. I don't know, maybe it's just the combination of the look of the regular Buu with, like, Super Buu's body. It just looks so strange. I don't know. I do prefer Fat Buu over that one, but I try to separate the two characters. Like, Super Buu actually is, to me, a separate version of the character, but that's a discussion for another day. What I will say is this one was really great right here, again, making the Dragon Ball universe seem that much more larger by getting to spend time with the new characters on their actual planet, which they always tend to look a lot more futuristic and alien than the one that we actually see from, say, Universe 7, which hasn't really evolved all that much, despite the fact that its own planet is really damn weird as well. I mean, you got dog people and dinosaurs. It makes no damn sense, to be perfectly honest. When you start thinking about that type of stuff, the show becomes less fun. And this episode was fun as shit. And a lot of that is due to the Pride Troopers themselves, their crazy designs, and I really can't wait to see if they're going to be able to sort of like walk the walk and talk the talk. They are building them up to be incredibly powerful, so I have a feeling that Universe 7 is going to have a tough time with them, although I feel there's still going to be some twists and turns with this tournament. I have a feeling the ring itself is going to be an obstacle in itself, so we'll have to see if that actually comes to fruition. What I will say is this was a super exciting episode with some really good production value behind it, some intense action scenes, lots of new stuff and things to get excited about. It was a solid package, so I'm giving this one right here a 5 out of 5. I could nitpick and say that there were a few moments that looked kind of fugly, but honestly, from an entertainment standpoint, I got nothing but laughs and smiles and lots of excitement from this one. So check it out, Dragon Ball fans. If any of you did watch this week's episode, why don't you tell me what you thought about it in the comments section below. What did you think about the proper introduction of the Pride Troopers? Do you think that Bispo is actually another species from Beerus and Champa, or that he just looks a little different? Does he have some sort of connection to those characters? What did you think of General Kasserel? And what do you hope to see from the next big Tournament of Power arc in Dragon Ball Super? Thank you guys for watching this review. Make sure to subscribe to the channel for all things Dragon Ball Super related, as well as tons of anime reviews. I'm reviewing a lot of the big shows this season, like Boruto, Berserk, Attack on Titan, and My Hero Academia. So make sure to check those out on my YouTube channel. Make sure to leave me a comment or two, as I'd love to talk with you guys about this week's episode. I'm always up for a good conversation. And remember, if you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, give it a thumbs down. I'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay dandy, baby.